Alright guys, Liverpool have beaten Manchester City 1-0. It is the morning after, granted, but I mean, what a result for Liverpool. I was there, absolutely amazing. One of the best games I've ever been to. In fact, it might just be the best. I was sat three rows behind the Manchester City bench, and it was just amazing. So we'll go through the game first. First off, Liverpool were by far the better side. I think that there's no way anyone can really deny that. In my opinion, I don't think Liverpool were putting the pressure on, and the only way City were really getting forward was through counter attacks. And don't get me wrong, De Bruyne, every time he picked up the ball just inside his own half and ran forward with it, it was slightly scary, because he is incredible at picking out teammates, and when you've got Erling Haaland, there's always going to be problems just around the corner. And there were a couple of occasions in the first half where De Bruyne did manage to pick out Haaland, but Haaland had 3 chances, and they weren't great chances by any means, but he failed to really do well with any of them. The first one headed way over the bar, just poor accuracy. The second one headed it straight into the keeper's hands with not a lot of power on it really. And the third one was in the second half where he had time to take a touch, but again, got the shot off. But Alisson, it was a good save, but Haaland shouldn't really, like for a striker of his calibre, have really given Alisson a chance to save it. But other than that, City really struggled for chances throughout the game. Liverpool, as I say, the first half, they didn't create loads of chances, but just constantly put Man City under pressure in their own final third, which there's not many teams who do that to Manchester City. And considering Liverpool had a lot of players missing, if you take Liverpool's best 11, or before the game anyway, you wouldn't have James Milner, you wouldn't have Joe Gomez, probably wouldn't have Jota, and probably wouldn't have Harvey Elliott. So Liverpool didn't have the best 11 out, whereas Man City, looking at their best 11, I don't think that was very far from it. I think maybe Laporte comes in for Nathan Ake, but he picked Ake over Laporte because Ake's in good form at the moment. But other than that, it was probably their best 11. And before the game, I was wondering what role Cancelo would play, whether he'd be right or left back, and whether Ake would play left back or Akanji at right back. And he went for Cancelo at right back, which surprised me because I can understand it wanting to get Ake up against Mo Salah to stop him from causing problems. But Mo Salah ended up playing more of a striker role because Harvey Elliott was out on the right hand side. So I think that backfired for Pep because he had the opportunity to play Cancelo at left back with Phil Foden on the left hand side and double up on James Milner and cause a lot of problems like they did at Anfield last season in the 2-2 draw. But he didn't go for it, and it surprised me he didn't switch it up just like midway through the first half because they were struggling to get the ball out of their own area. And Cancelo, when you're coming up against a right back like James Milner, who despite putting in an amazing performance yesterday, him and Foden, if they'd have doubled up against Milner, there wouldn't have been anything Milner could do about it, if we're being honest. Joe Gomez was man of the match, coming in for, I think it was Canate on Wednesday night, who played centre-back alongside Van Dijk. And Gomez, absolutely brilliant. It's best. I'd go as far as to say that's the best performance I've seen him put in a Liverpool shirt. He was superb. He stopped Man City from creating any real problems at all during the game. And he did a fantastic job in stopping Haaland from causing problems as well, and was brilliant on the ball and helped Milner out a lot. So he was man of the match easily. And the rest of the team at Liverpool, the entire team just had a very, very good game. I don't think there was one player who you could say had an average game. And we need to talk about a few of the moments, especially in the second half. So Anthony Taylor, for context, was letting a lot of things go throughout the game. He was letting like there were loads of fouls that another referee would have given. Now I don't mind that as long as you stay consistent. Every referee's got their own interpretation of the rules. And yeah, Salah had just gone through on goal and missed a one-on-one, brilliant chance. Ederson did really well to close him down and get just enough on it to send the shot wide. But then City obviously got their goal. Now, it is a foul on Fabinho. When I got home and watched the analysis on it and seeing what Mika Richards had to say on it, I was amazed, to be honest. Haaland has had the ball hooked away from him, from Fabinho, and then he's grabbed hold of Fabinho's shirt and pulled him over. How you can claim that Fabinho's already going over without Haaland pulling his shirt is mental, to be honest. I think there's no way Fabinho is falling over unless Haaland tugs his shirt, which he does. Then the move continues. I think it was Gundogan who picked up the ball, or it might have been Bernardo Silva. One of them picks up the ball, brings it forward, tries to play in Haaland. Haaland, it goes into Alisson's hands. Alisson has two hands on it, but Haaland sort of kicks it out of them, falls to Foden. Foden has just Joe Gomez to beat and manages to just about get it in via a deflection off Gomez on the line. Definite foul, if not two fouls in that move. Now, Man City bench go mental. Guardiola starts giving stick to the fans, and the inevitable happens, the VAR check. Whether it's a foul or not, even if it wasn't a foul on Fabinho, it would still have been VAR checked, and the referee might not. And even if the referee didn't even check the monitor, even if it was we're just checking for a foul here, yeah, that's good, the goal can stand. Even if it was a case of that, you know a VAR check's going to happen. So why on earth they went as mental as they did? Like, by all means, celebrate the goal, but they went absolutely berserk on the bench and on the touchline. And it was just the inevitable was going to happen, and it did. So obviously the Liverpool fans, myself included, start flicking a few V's at Guardiola and giving him a bit of stick. Now, what I will say is there was one fan, and I saw this happen live. I was about 5 or 10 metres away from him. He chucked a few coins at Guardiola. Now, obviously, that is moronic. Like, you have to be an absolute knob to do that, because at the end of the day, this is a game of football. You could injure someone. Guardiola was quite lucky not to get injured by the coins. And yeah, but Guardiola really didn't help himself by turning around when the Liverpool fans were, giving him a bit of stick. What you don't do in that situation is you don't start encouraging the fans, because what that did is that got the fans up. Now, Liverpool fans, this is excluding the Kop. For the past year or so, since COVID, I would say, I think the atmosphere, the overall atmosphere, the noise generated at Anfield has definitely dipped a little bit. Now, obviously, it's Liverpool v Man City, so the atmosphere is going to be a bit better today than it is when Liverpool play, say, I don't know, Brighton, which I went to 2 weeks ago, and it wasn't the best atmosphere. But what you don't want to do is you do not want to get the fans fired up, and which will inevitably then transfer onto the players and get them going as well. And that's exactly what he did. If you want an example of this, look at Liverpool v Arsenal last season. It finished 4-0 Liverpool. It was 0-0 after about 30 minutes. Arteta and Klopp have an argument with the fourth official. It gets pretty heated. That gets the fans going. Liverpool then start turning up the pressure on Arsenal and eventually score 4 goals and batter them 4-0. If you keep it cool as the away manager at Anfield, you're more likely to win the game. It's as simple as, because if you let the fans feel like it's just a little bit dead, then the players get the same feeling and they lose the, hunger to win, if that makes sense. So it was stupid from Guardiola. And yeah, that's eventually what caused Man City's downfall, because just as they were starting to put a little bit of pressure on Liverpool Liverpool then come back at them and get the chances through Salah, and eventually Salah scores. It was a really well taken goal, superb kick from Alisson to pick him out. Cancelo, it's not really good enough, but to be fair, he was isolated with Salah, and Salah is a strong player. Like, he's going to win a 50-50 with Cancelo, I think, on a ground duel. And he just manages to get his body in the way between Cancelo and the ball, turn him brilliantly, and slot it past Ederson and score. And I just thought Guardiola got pretty much everything wrong in the game. He has games like this sometimes for City. Now, City, obviously, I think are going to win the league this season, because these games, they happen 2 or 3 times a season, and that you can allow that. If you win 30 games a season, there's a good chance you're going to win the league, and Man City will most likely do that this season. But even then, Klopp got sent off, and the reason Klopp gets sent off is because he got too fired up. There was a clear foul on Mohamed Salah. Whether the referee's letting things go or not, it's a clear foul any day of the week. If it's not a foul, then it's not football. It's one of them. Bernardo Silva's nearly ripped Salah's shirt off. He's jumped all over him, and the referee's let it play. It was a ridiculous decision. And I thought Anthony Taylor, despite refereeing the game how I want to see games refereed in terms of letting a lot of things go, I thought there were moments in the game where you just thought, okay, right, by all means, let little niggly fouls go, let the game flow a bit more. I'm all for that. But you've got to give fouls for things that are just blatantly obvious, and he didn't at times. And yeah, Klopp got angry. He had a bit of a go at the linesman for not flagging. And yeah, he just went over the top. But for me, for what Klopp did, is Klopp ran out of the technical area to the linesman. Guardiola, I reckon, I could name about 6 occasions at least throughout the game where Guardiola didn't run out of his technical area, he fully ran out onto the pitch at times. So there were times where he could have had multiple yellow cards throughout the game. So for me, it was a ridiculous decision to send Klopp off, but not Pep. And yeah, Liverpool held on. They brought on Darwin Núñez towards the end of the game, and Núñez, despite some of his poor decision making when he did get chances, he just stretched the Man City defence and stopped them from committing so many men forward that it would be unbearable for Liverpool, and they would eventually force the ball into the back of the net. But yeah, absolutely brilliant performance from Liverpool. I did not see a clean sheet against Man City with the way Liverpool have been recently defensively. I didn't see that coming in a million years. So fair play to Liverpool's defence. They were phenomenal yesterday. There were also a few performances from a few Liverpool players who I wanted to point out. Firmino, when he was on the pitch for the first 60 or 70 minutes of the game, he was constantly stretching the Man City defence, causing problems. Same with Jota, getting up and down the left-hand side. And it's a real shame that he got injured right at the end of the game, because it looks like it's going to be quite bad, unfortunately. So hopefully he is back in time for the World Cup, because he would probably be in the starting 11 for Portugal. But yeah, brilliant performance from Liverpool. There is one more thing I would like to point out. Any respect I had for the Manchester City away end at all is gone, because in the FA Cup semi-final, it was obviously mid-April, which is around the time when English football's biggest tragedy happened in 96, well, now 97 fans lost their lives due to this incident. And there was a minute's silence in April at Wembley. All of the Man City, well, not all of them, but a lot of Man City fans booed and just, couldn't shut up for 60 seconds and just pay a little bit of respect. And the same, there was no, because it's not April the 15th, there was no minute of silence for the 97 fans in Hillsborough. There never is, unless it's April usually. the Man City fans just started graffitiing all over the walls, just things about stadium disasters, and even the chants about them, about it's never your fault. It's ridiculous. And look, I'm not someone who's been affected personally by the Hillsborough disaster. I don't know anyone who did die or has really had anyone, or anyone who's a family member of someone who died. But I'm sure I will have met people before who have had like a friend or a cousin or something like that, someone who was affected by it at least. And I mean, it's just absolutely shocking, and I think they should be punished for that, as should the Liverpool fan who threw coins at Guardiola. If they can pick him out via CCTV, then he should get, I don't know, a lifetime ban. That's not, I don't think that's too outrageous, because it is stupid behaviour and it does a lot more harm than even a pitch invasion. So yeah, but anyway, despite the negative instance, it was an absolutely brilliant performance from Liverpool and brilliant game, and what a way for Liverpool to get back on track this week, beating Rangers 7-1 and beating Manchester City in the Premier League as well. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.